Turn your existing audience into 30 to 100 plus qualified sales calls per month by installing the DM Setter funnel. What I'll show you today is how I've actually built a 3.5 million business in the last 3.5 years, roughly doing 1.3 million alone in just the B2C department, where we did a total of 5 million with the B2B also combined and retention in that time frame. And so it's not just us that have been able to monetize an audience where you can see where we had 160K following B2C brand into that type of liquidity, but also for the clients that we've recently helped, like Joey, who went from $30,000 a month to $86,000 a month in 3 months, going from $5,000 in DM cash to $40,000 in DM cash. Tara, who went from $25,000 a month to $130,000 in December in 5 months total, going from zero in DM cash to 40,000. And Whitney, even if you have a small audience, but you have a really good brand, monetizing that, going from 20K a month to 40K a month in 30 days total, from zero new DM cash to $27,000 in new DM cash in just 30 days with a single appointment setter. That is what I'm going to actually show you today. Appointment setters, qualification mechanism, show rate optimization, VSL and pre-call process, and the reminders and follow-up sequences that allowed us to actually hit at one point a $500,000 a month in our B2C business, always sustaining between $100,000 to $300,000 a month just with 2 appointment setters and a very simple sales mechanism. And that's what I'll show you today. So what we'll start off with here is obviously the talent itself. We need an appointment setter inside the inbox, and it has to be an actual person. It doesn't work if this is going to be AI. Even in 2026, even with the uprise of AI, it is not good enough to actually talk to your leads. We're really missing that human touch point. So the first thing that we want to do is install that DM appointment setters. That is then going to talk to the leads that you're already generating likely with your marketing if you feel attracted to this type of content and what we're actually showing you here today. So you have story sequences, you have your call to action content, maybe you even have profile funnel ads through Facebook and Meta that drive traffic towards your profile. And so you're going to generate leads, and leads. But who's going to talk to them? And it's going to be appointment setters. And if you're watching this and you only have, for example, a ManyChat setup that is going to actually send them to a page or something else like a YouTube or basically a very simple flow inside a chat, it no longer cuts it in 2026. Even if you do well and you're running above $100,000 a month, you're leaving so much money on the table. You can't probably fathom on what you're missing out on by not having a human to human touch point. Because I'll explain this. Even if you have that, even if you are having that type of lead flow and people buy from you, it means that you're actually only focused on the 3 to 7% that are buying right now. They are already watching your brand. You're probably having something there of the 7-11-4 rule, 7 hours on content, on 11 different touch points, on 4 different platforms. And so that is probably what that audience does if they click on your links and, for example, purchase through your beacons link or through a link that you have in your bio. But what happens with the other 90% of your audience? Well, here is where appointment setters help monetize big audiences like Tara's, like Joey's, with even smaller audience would have a really good brand like Whitney's that I've just actually showed you. Is because we're leaving that other 90% of our audience on the table. Because realistically, these people don't even know that they are interested. These people don't even know that you exist, for example, and these are not thinking about it. And so there's only 10% that is buying right now or actually open to buying. And DM setters can accelerate where those people are with just a couple of human to human touch points, making sure that they are a qualified lead, turning up into your sales calendar, and then into actually a paying customer that is also the ideal customer with how we actually do this appointment setting. So let me walk you through how that works. So obviously we're generating leads here. We have DM engagements where we have your PDFs, your courses, your training is all generating leads, and most of that will likely be landing inside your inbox if you're optimizing for the DM setter funnel here. And so what happens is that you're going to have 1 or 2 DM setters. Now, if you are, let's say, below $30,000 to $50,000 a month, maybe even below $100,000 a month, you would probably just need 1 appointment setter, also depending on your ticket size and what space you're in. If you're into fitness, you will probably will need 2 appointment setters for the types of leads and the amount of leads that you're going to walk through. But if you have, for example, a consulting offer where you sell a little bit more high ticket, up to $9,000, 9,000 US above, then you would probably be just happy with one, and you can scale that all the way up to $150,000 a month, maybe even higher with just 1 appointment setter. And so what we see here is that obviously these leads are landing inside the inbox. But we don't just want leads on the calendar. That's extremely easy to actually do. And this is probably what you've been optimizing for to some degree if you're watching this. But the type of lead that you actually want is what we want to have them is what we call the buyer state of mind. It means that they come to your call where they are very clear on what their intention is, what their situation is, what your offer actually is about, and how it will specifically help them. Are they kind of like coming pre-sold to the call, where the quality of this lead is mostly it feels like a referral, like they're so warm that your closing rate is also going to raise significantly. All of our clients that follow this process have a closing rate higher than 40 to 50%. And it's not that they had magic sales training or they're extremely good at what they do. It's how we actually let the lead come to the sales call with the entire process that will actually show you today, from DM to qualification to the show rate optimization to what they actually consume before they hit the call, and what's happening on the email and the backend sequences as well, with the human touch points from the triager closer towards that lead as well, that make that a possibility, the 40 to 50% close rate. And so what the sellers are basically doing is that they apply a four-step fire framework. They're flagging the intent to filter out the hand raises from the lurkers. And there's outbound done as well. There's inbound done as well. There's follow-ups done as well. There's three types of activities that a DM setter typically does. But first, we're like flagging the intent, like, hey, why are you here? Why did you request this resource? What are you looking to get from this? And then we basically initiate the frame where it's, hey, what is your situation? Why do you want this resource? Why do you follow my profile? Why do you find an interest in what we post typically? Then we review in reverse, where we uncover the goals, the pain, the urgency, and actually the buying gap. Like, hey, what makes you want to look into this in the first place? And then we elevate the solution, your offer specifically for the ICP that you serve, that then creates a certain belief system inside the lead's mind to actually want to be on a sales call with you. Because first, we're creating clarity. Where is this lead and where do they want to go? A lot of people don't even know where they really are, and they're kind of like on autopilot NPC mode. Then we go into the conviction phase. If they don't see clarity that is required for them to get what they desire, then they will never take action. So we allow them to take control based on the information that we give them and get out of that situation that they currently are in. Then, because they see that now, we build the belief that they can actually make a massive shift in a matter of months and with your specific help. And the reason why this hits so different, the appointment setters, is because typically nobody cares about leads. Everybody's looking at leads like money. But if you look at that actually like it's a human being who just wants to be cared about, wants to be listened to, and your setters can actually display that towards your leads, then that's where the money is at. For example, I've just recorded a testimonial with Tara last week where we took her from $25,000 all the way up to $130,000 a month. And the thing that she actually mentioned is that she was afraid that the DM appointment setters were just going to like see the leads as opportunity, as a monetary number. But what she was surprised with installing the process that I'll walk you through today is that she actually felt like the leads are being taken care of the way that she would do that as well inside her inbox, even though she's never done appointment setting before. She really sees that the leads benefit from having that human touch point where the sellers actually care, creating that opportunity for her business, allowing her to actually scale. We also have some KPIs here. I'm going to walk you through that later. First, going to go through the process here in itself. So first, we want to have the DM sellers actually treat the leads in this specific way. In next videos, I'll probably go very deep on what this process actually looks like and how you can get them to perform. But first, I want you to understand what this entire funnel actually does and how it works for you and how you can actually scale your business with this significantly without generating more leads, without spending money on ads, without needing to create new VSLs or run webinars. Basically, have a human touch point inside your DMs is going to make you a lot of money. But the thing is, even if you have tons of leads, we want to have the right leads on the calendar. So here's where the qualification mechanism comes in as well. And there's basically two parts to the qualification mechanism. One part is happening inside the DMs where your appointment setter is also the gatekeeper on who they actually allow to be on the calendar. The second part is actually your booking process, where you want to at least have a type form or a Calendly form that tells you something about the state of the lead. Are they looking to invest? If they are looking to invest, then what can they potentially invest? These questions are not set in stone. For fitness offers, we typically qualify very little because you want to have opportunity on the calendar, because it's less typical to really talk about a monetary number before they actually get towards the sales calls, scaring them away for making the potential investment. Where in the B2B market, we're more so very clear with like, hey, this is what it costs. And if you can't afford this, then I probably can't help you. Goodbye. And so that's kind of like the qualification that goes on. So you have to define for yourself how that works for your offer. But B2C is likely a little bit less qualified versus like B2B, which is a little bit higher qualified on the financial questions. There's other ways to qualify leads as well. Again, leaving that for a different video. But here's where we have our qualification mechanism. So the DM sellers are going to basically book a call. They're going to land on the calendar in itself after filling this in. And so what you get is that you either will lead with an unqualified lead or a qualified lead. Now, if they are a qualified lead based on your calendar and the DM conversation in itself, it's both of them, not just either or, where they will land up on the Calendly and they'll just be able to book a call with you. However, if they are unqualified, you just don't want to leave that there. You want to be aware from a management perspective, but also that your DM setter is aware that we can re-qualify these people actually. Literally because of the reason what I just said. Maybe they weren't aware that this was going to cost them anything. Maybe it was a little bit higher priced than they thought it was going to be. Maybe they just don't feel comfortable answering that question. And so the amount of leads in my DM setting career, and what I see with my clients right now as well, is that the requalification saves at least 1/5 to 2/5 of the leads that normally are unqualified to get them back on the calendar based on walking them through the process and what actually made them disqualified. So whether it was the willingness to invest, whether it was the financials, like the amount of opportunity that you can save here is literally insane. So then we actually go towards the show rate optimization. So you have your qualified lead book right now. And so the first thing that we actually want to have is a Slack channel where we can literally see through Zapier if that lead actually booked in. So the seller can also QC if the lead that actually booked in is correct. Because what can happen, for example, is that we had kind of like a weird DM conversation, but they went through the qualification mechanism anyway, and then we could still see them showing up here that they actually booked, and the setter could then requalify that person and to make sure that we're not having like trash on the calendar, right? That is just one instance that I can think of and why we would want to have that. But also from a management perspective, it's extremely satisfying to see the Slack channel popping off every single day with new calls booked that are actually qualified in that sense, and also determine what the pace of your appointment setter is. Are they on track or are they off track for the day? Again, management perspectives, not for this video. We'll just keep it like very simple in terms of the actual process, but that's a reason why you want to have that there. But what you also want to have there, which is more important, is the canceled call channel. You want to be aware that as soon as a lead cancels, that the closer messages and dials the lead, that they actually canceled their call. Then if they don't pick up, you want to have a handoff process towards the DM setter, which is then going to follow up with the lead inside Instagram or wherever that person is being set from, right? And the reason why they may have more success than the actual closer is because they're talking from your name, from your perspective. If you see my profile here, I would have DM setters here for my B2C, but the people would actually think that it's me that they're actually talking to, right? And so automatically, I have more leverage than a closer that is going to message or dial the lead that they haven't never had a touch point of contact with. So this is why you also want the DM setters to actually reach out to the leads and get those people back on the calendar. Now, in terms of like why people cancel, maybe something's coming up inside their life. Maybe they're just no longer interested. Maybe they think that this is not really for them after they actually let that sink in. The amount of leads that you can save here again is also 1/5 to 2/5 in totality. So if you're, for example, booking 50 calls a month and you get a certain amount of cancellations, there's a significant amount that you can actually still save and get back on the calendar based on all the effort that you're spending here with your marketing and the DM setters, getting through the entire process. If you're not doing anything with this, like you're leaving massive amounts of money on the table and opportunity there as well by not just like making sure that those calls are getting back on the calendar. KPI is really 3 to 5 minute response time. That's like very significant to actually reach out as soon as possible, as soon as that actually happens, so the lead is still aware that they actually did that and it's still top of mind for them to actually respond to. So now you have a lead that went from your DM process through the qualification mechanism through the show rate optimization, which we have here. Obviously, if they were just qualified, they're going to show, you would have that. But for the unqualifieds, requalification, and for the people that cancel, we would have that optimized there, where they then go to the pre-call process. And here is where you want to basically have a VSL, and specifically a VSL that tells them like, hey, listen, your call is not yet confirmed. I need you to watch this short video that we have here in order for you to actually come to the call, because without it, you're not going to understand what we're specifically going to talk about, what we can actually help you with, if you are a right fit, and what our process actually looks like. So you want to have a, let's say, B2C, typically 5 to 15-minute video. For B2B, it can be a little bit longer based on your process and the trust that you desire to build there, all the way up to 30 minutes or plus. But for B2C, try to really keep this one short, because attention span is definitely something that you're battling with in the B2C space. So after that, of course, there's a ton of testimonial, social proof that you have there as well. And that's what people watch before they actually come to the call. So there's no KPI attached to that. But a lot of people don't have a pre-call confirmation page, and they're losing out on sales because people, as soon as they book, one, they wouldn't have that buyer state of mind that I just talked about in terms of like how we get leads actually to the call that feel referral quality, like that closes at 40 to 50%. That's part of it. But what is also part of it is the VSL and the pre-call process that informs the lead on what that call again is going to be about, and how they can actually prepare for that to have the most amount of success, seeing the trust and the testimonials beneath that as well. And so the last step that we have here inside the funnel is the reminders and the follow-up sequences. Lead handling is that all the leads have to go inside a CRM. You want to keep track of that. This is your gold mine. This is something that you want to keep track of, because the amount that we've collected on certain months with just doing a campaign, like a price increase, like a certain time frame that we're going to run out of a certain amount of coaching spots, especially for B2C offers, this is not so much for B2B, is really golden. Like literally an extra $100,000 a month with just a simple campaign based on leads that we were collecting for months. Every 3 months we would kind of like do something like that. We would collect an extra $50,000 to $100,000 a month inside just our B2C business. So you want to have the leads stacked and assigned automatically through closers and setters. Again, different video, just explaining a process here. Then you want to have email reminders. So you want to give them a confirmation email and a sequence with that as well. So of course, the confirmation email is sent instantly. Calendly can do this for you, but can also have something custom set up, for example, through ActiveCampaign or whatever you're going to use, MailChimp. Then you want to have at least a 1 to 3 email follow-up sequence with call reminders, but also value-based assets or content to nurture the lead before the call. Again, normally, if you have an organic opt-in where you would have your Instagram profile, for example, right here, people would click on that is because they watched your YouTube videos, they went through your content, they have seen different things from you, the 7-11 fall rule, right? And so all that does is help you facilitate more time on brand versus like what they probably wouldn't have, especially if we're pulling them from the depths of like the below 90% towards the sales calls that you're going to have with these types of people. So that's important why you would want to have that there. Then your triager or closer is going to reach out to them, which is the human confirmation layer. Don't just leave this towards the email confirmation sequence. You actually want to have your triager or closer SMS or WhatsApp delete as soon as possible, ideally within 1 hour. This is a little bit less when it comes to the actual KPIs because they have already booked. There's already a certain intent to want to be on that call, but you want to have your lead closer or triager reach out as soon as possible to confirm that they actually have that call, and potentially also send them some resources there different than the ones that we would have in the video emails, for example. So we want to use a proven script, just a very, keep it extremely simple. Just introduce and confirm. Like this is nothing special, guys. Don't make this like crazy. Hey, my name is DJ. I'm going to have a call with you on Friday. Just felt like I wanted to send you this resource and to confirm that we actually have the call. Please type back confirm so I know that we're on. Here's the resource. Boom. And then if it's, for example, Wednesday right now, and I have that call on Friday, sorry, then I would, for example, send one more reminder on Thursday, and I could send like a last reminder on Friday with the Zoom link, like, hey, I'm excited to chat. This is all going to help you increase your show rates. Actually, the average rebooking increase is 25% on all no shows based on like having this entire funnel typically what you can have as a KPI. Show rates go all the way up to 70 to 80% with extremely qualified leads. Again, referral quality that lead to 40 to 50% close rates if you just follow this extremely simple process. So the reminders are again via WhatsApp or email to increase the amount of shows that we have there. And then the no-show sequence is that we have that multi-channel follow-up on a 2-day window as well. If they do no show, we're going to WhatsApp and SMS them again. We're going to send email reminders where they are being pushed towards a different campaign, for example, Inside Active campaign, to keep nurturing that lead because they already took the willingness to actually sign up for a call with you and go through that process itself. And we're going to actually attempt to call them if they actually no showed as well for a certain amount of time. And again, that in itself could increase the no show rate by 25% to get them back on the calendar in itself for all the leads that have no showed. And so obviously then you have your triage and closing call. And so the outcome is that you're going to deal with extremely qualified leads on sales calls only. There was really a time for Tara, especially in December when she did a $130,000 month, which was just like 30 days ago, where every call that she hopped on was basically closing. And I think she had a 75% closing rate in December based on how we let the DM setters actually handle the leads and follow this exact process, which I've just basically showed you here today. So the leads were already in the buyer state of mind, extremely primed, ready to invest, all pay in fulls. High pay in full rate, 50% and above is what I see for all my clients because the trust is so extremely high. And we're just having that Zoom call. And so we have 2 to plus 5 qualified calls per day with a 70 to 80% show rate and a 30 to 50% close rate. Which of course 30% is like the minimum inside the B2B and the B2C space if we're talking about like high ticket products, info products regarding closing. But pushing that towards 50% isn't per se closing skill. It's also like the funnel that you have beforehand that informs the leads that uh, is what your marketing basically allows to do. So if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I can create more video and content about the appointment setters in itself, the qualification mechanisms, the show rate optimization, and the pre-call VSL process. If you want to have that, then please let me know inside the comments on what you would like to see created. I'll specifically just create that and post it on my channel. And if you're interested in working with me one-to-one, I also have a link here below. And perhaps I'll see you soon on a free audit.